Hello, thanks for joining us on Lifetime Productions once again. We're going to check out our 4.9 bees today. This is my son Zeke.
Hello.
I'm Kevin Karge. It's June 18th, 2008. And we're kind of doing a continuation. We hived them some time ago. The reason we haven't done much since is there hasn't been much to report. As you remember, the front hive was doing well. Hive A, Hive B in the back was had some supersedure cells, and we had checked it a couple of times, and they hadn't been able to supersede their queen just yet. So, but today I'm feeling confident something good should be happening there, and hopefully I'm right. So let's go ahead and get the first one open here. You want to grab the smoker, Zeke?
Sure. I'm gonna grab the smoker.
Okay, you want to pull smoke in the back here, Zeke?
Alright.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yep.
There's not a lot of activity on our bottom board, which kind of gives me hope that maybe they're hauling in nectar. I know the nectar sources this year haven't been real good. We have had a problem here with ants on the hive. You want to get a little smoke in here, please? In the hive. In the hive. There you go. As you can see, it's full of ants and eggs. Kind of a tough problem to deal with. The only thing I've been able to do at this point is to put ant poison under the bottom board, stuff that they actually eat. Do a visual inspection so I'm not ditching the queen here. Alright, let's take a look at this top. We've got two hive bodies on now. So this second hive body, they would have had to draw it out. Okay, you want to back up with the smoke a little bit. Because these were just foundations put in the frame. Looks like they're doing a great job drawing it out. Okay, we got some brood on this one. Not seeing any eggs. Try the next frame here. It's got a few more bees on it. Oh, that's honey. Because we smoked them, they're after the food. More food. Alright, we'll go down into the second one. Okay, get a little smoke in here. In the hive. Good. Empty frame. That might have been a swapped frame, that empty one. I had taken some frames out and swapped them with this other hive because they had these supersedure cells. And gosh, I still see sealed supersedure cells in this hive, and I'm a little bit shocked actually. This hive could have swarmed. As you can see on the camera here, these cells down here toward the bottom of the mix, these are hatched out, and there's a couple up a little higher that are still capped off. That's the supersedures are usually closer to halfway up. The swarm cells are usually hanging right off the bottom, and I see some off the bottom that are hatched and gone. Could possibly be old, but I don't see any evidence of a queen in here. Yeah, I fear this hive has already swarmed, and that's why it's not going gangbusters like it once was. This is not that many bees. which my guess is they swarmed due to the conditions. We're having a terrible year, not a lot of nectar around. Alright, we're going to leave them alone. They're already in distress here, and I'm not sure there's much I can do, but I guess what that means is I probably won't get much for honey off this hive this year, but it will, hopefully they will be able to requeen and get established and be strong enough to go through the winter. Okay, we're doing a quick update for you here. Remember, we found some swarm or super seizure cells inside of our package number 2 that came from Florida. This was nuke number 2, and we found some swarm cells in here. So I just smoked it. We'll give them a little more, another one here, and we're going to take a quick look and see how those are doing, if those queens have hatched yet. I do see right away there's a lot of burr comb in between. They're just wanting to glue it back together. There's the one of the swarm cells right there that's hatched out. And maybe that's the single. Let's pull the next frame. There was a double on one of these frames.
Well, they're all over it. Dang.
There's another one hatched out. So the queens have hatched.
So they have.
Can you see that on the video? There's 2 queen cells are hatched out. They're empty now. The swarm cells that they put in the middle of the frames. We saw them, found them the other day. There's another queen cell hatched out again.
And what is that?
Empty. So the queen, she's out. You know, we've had rainy weather the last 3 days, so I'm not sure if she was able to get bred yet or not. So I probably ought to not mess around too much, but they've already raised up another queen. Okay, we're going to go into the second 4.9. We apply a little smoke to the back. Just a minute here. I had a feeder pail left on here. I never did get it taken off. Of course, it's empty. Alright, a little smoke in there. Foundation on the top. Here's the one piece, which could be a lack of nectar if they're chewing their old foundation away to use down below. Alright, a little smoke under this half. Okay.
Smoking is a fun part of bees. You know, you can hear all the bees together.
You like smoking them, huh?
Kind of fun. What's it called?
See, this here is called burr comb. In the middle here, they got all glued together, see?
Yeah.
We got to chop that burr comb out of there so we can get the frames out. We don't want them to build burr comb, really. This one's finally taken off because there's some larvae in here.
Ooh, I see that. As you can see, bees like white. That one's full of honey.
Okay, we didn't get to visually spot a queen here, but I see larvae in different stages of development. There's frame after frame with larvae on it. So they're really, this hive is now looking real good. They finally got their queen replaced, and they're building things up. They haven't moved up into the top yet, but the bottom is quite full, so the top does need to be there when that bottom's full like that, so they don't swarm. They need the room. So hopefully they'll start construction on this top sometime soon. I see a little bit on the burr comb on the bottom of it. That's about all they're doing. This is the first hive on the first video. When we installed them, or after we had installed them, we found there was a super seizure cell. And the super seizure cell actually didn't take, or something went wrong. It was weeks later. We didn't find any activity, no queen. So we took some frames out of this one that had, for some reason this one had super seizure cells later on, but they were doing really well. So I swapped a couple frames. I put the super seizure cells in there. I cleaned all the bees off, no chance of getting the queen out. And now they raised up another queen, and there's brood all over, so they're going pretty well. Now this one, what I didn't see before, but I see this time, is some hatched out swarm cells. So I don't know if it's what I did or the environment, the ants bother, I don't know, something they didn't like. There's plenty of room, but they went ahead and swarmed on me. So this is now the smaller hive. And hopefully one of them queen cells in there is going to hatch out and replace the queen. Then next we have two that we're reducing to 4.9s. We haven't checked those yet. So we'll get these closed back up and move on. Starter strips of 5.4 on here and let them draw it down. And they did, but they haven't attached the bottom yet, so you cannot turn this one sideways. You have to examine it like this, or it'll break off. But they look like they're doing real good. There's some larvae in different stages of development. There's a bunch of sealed brood. It's a little bit irregular pattern, but there's plenty of it. This is like a burr comb hanging here. I'm just going to tear this off of here. That isn't going to do them any good. One disadvantage to that letting them draw their own comb is, as you can see, almost half of this frame is drones. They can change the size as they go down and draw out a lot of drone cells. For some reason they're prone to do that when they draw out their own comb. But this is only a 1-year stage, the 5.4s. I will continue to save the best frames for doing the next batch of bees. I could put in full foundation, but my experiment is to let them draw their own comb and see how it does. So far it's okay, but all the large amount of drone cells could be probably eliminated if we put in a full piece of foundation. Learning experience. Here's another one they've drawn out. This one here has mostly worker cells. Pretty good. I notice it's kind of hard to get them to go all the way to the bottom. They usually like to leave a gap for some reason. Eventually they do get to the bottom. You just have to be careful not to tip it until then. And again, this particular queen is laying the eggs to the outside for some reason quite a bit. Honey at the top, which is kind of not ideal. What you'd like to see is the eggs being in the very center. Zeke, can you hold this? One hand on each side. One hand on each side. Or two in the middle. Just stay right there. Don't move. I gotta get this piece of burr comb fell off when I pulled it out because it was kind of in there sideways. Alright. Thank you. Again, there's quite a bit of drone on the one end. In fact, I could just take and knock that probably right off. All the drone cells are going to do is take up food. There's no way they would ever need that many drones. It'd be a little different if they filled it with honey, but they filled it with drones. So I'm taking that from them. Let's take a quick check on the other side.
Bees can be friendly. Bees can be friendly. Bees can be friendly.
Maybe. This is a good looking frame. This one could contain a queen. It has very young larvae on it. Oh yeah, even eggs. This would be the place to look for the queen if you were to find her. She is generally with the eggs. One good thing about the drone cells that you can do with them is they're a great... Here's a method of inspecting for varroa mites. Drone cells generally will contain varroa mites. That's where the first place they'll go. You stab in and you kind of pull them out, and now you can inspect for varroa mites, and there is not one varroa mite on there. They'd be just like look like a little mustard seed dot stuck on there. So they're very varroa clean. These bees are very small too. Again, this is a 5.1 downsize from 5.4 to 5.1 due to just putting in 5.1 foundation and letting them draw it down. Okay, we're going to check see how they're doing. So this frame here would come out a 5.1. I'm having a little bit of trouble. There's tons of funny burr comb in here, but this is the upper box, so they move from the bottom up into the next one. Alright, there's a lot of frames down at the bottom here that are just full of brood and looking really good. Part of the experiment we had going on here is we put a 5.1 starter strips up above the standard box, and they say that's not the best. I wanted to see for myself, and I don't like it. The comb, we had to tear tons of it up because it was in between two frames. It was just a mess, and you have to have removable frames. So I think what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to put another box of the 5.4, the old stuff that's already drawn comb, get this hive going so we can get some honey this year. I think I'll abandon the 5.1 or drawing out in this particular hive this year and save it for next year. I'll maybe let them clean this out and then move it on to the other one, make it a 3-body or something. But it's just not, to mix them wasn't a very good experience. They make such a mess, it's like they don't quite know what they're doing. All these frames are just chucked full down here. I see no sign of swarming or any of that. But so we'll get another box, and we're going to leave those the standard size of 5.4 this year. Okay.